A couple of advanced tips for the Wi-Fi Pineapple pager, maybe some things you didn't realize you could do. Let's go ahead and start with the power menu. Over here on my pager, I'll see if I double tap the power button, I get this menu here, and from here I can sleep my screen. Now, interesting note about that is I have my virtual pager set up, right? So what's going to happen when I sleep my screen? Well, the physical screen is going to sleep, but I notice as I come over to the virtual pager, there's no problem navigating the interface. And the screen will stay sleeped, until I press a button physically on the device to wake it up. This is really cool because, well, the screen is one of the biggest power users, of wattage and amperage, so it's the biggest draw on the battery. And it's the biggest generator of heat. So if you're using this, say, on your phone connected over the management access point, that's one way to extend your battery life and keep it cool. I like using this all the time, especially in theme development, because I don't necessarily need physical access to it when I have my virtual pager. All right, that said, also in the power menu, when you double click the top, you'll notice that you also have the ability to lock buttons. So if I press lock buttons, it's going to say, okay, great, double tap to unlock them. Now, wherever I left this, none of these buttons are going to interact with the screen. So just double tap the power button again to dismiss that, and there you go. The next one is to actually lock the screen. And in order to lock the screen, you're going to need to set a PIN code. So if you haven't done that, you're going to get this error. Here's how you do that. You go into Settings, and you just come over to System, and come down to PIN code. Choose PIN Setup. We'll hit Edit, and we'll do an amazing PIN code that no one would ever guess. I'll go ahead and save that. And I will also need to enable the PIN code. So with the PIN code set and enabled, double tap the power, press lock screen. Now it says press A to unlock, right? Boom. I'm now prompted 1337. There we go. Similarly, in the power menu, this is also where shutdown is. And yes, I know you can hold the button down for 5 seconds to power off the device. That is not the recommended way to do that. That is akin to pulling the plug on your desktop PC. Will it work? Yes, it will work, but it will make the next boot take longer as it has to, let's just say, finesse the disk. So I definitely recommend you go through the proper menu, double-click power, and choose shutdown. The other thing I want to show you in here now is stats for nerds. So if we turn on stats for nerds, or nerd stats here, we'll notice that we see this new element in the top left. And what that's going to show me is how many milliseconds it took to draw the screen, as well as whether that image was cached. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to really make this feel like a zippy user experience. And so there's a lot of caching involved, and that's one of those things, those little tricks that makes it feel really good in the hand. And then those three numbers underneath are going to be CPU utilization, memory, and thermals. And you can just turn those on and off anytime just by double tapping that power button and coming and checking on stats for nerds. All right, another one that I personally love this feature, and you're going to see me use a lot. It's a censorship mode, and this is for anybody needing to do demonstrations while maintaining privacy of, say, limiting collateral damage, or maybe just not doxing yourself. So anybody making videos for social media or whatever have you, this might be a tip for you. All right, so what we do is to enable censorship mode. In my virtual pager is the easiest way to do it. I come down here, and I'm just going to edit this file called USR in /USR called debug.json. I'm going to go ahead and put censor true. Very simple. I'm going to save that file. And now, when I enter my recon, my results will be censored. However, I will need to restart the Wi-Fi Pineapple pager service, or the server as it is that runs the screen and all of that. And that kind of leads to my next tip, which is like, yes, I could just double tap the power button, go down to shutdown, or I could run the reboot command, and then I could wait for a full boot cycle, and then I could show you, or I can just restart the service interactively. And this menu is quite buried, and it exists for a very specific reason. So I'm going to have a lot of caveats here. But if I come into settings, and I go all the way down to about, or you can just press up to just jump to the bottom. When you go to about, it's going to tell you your IP address on the Wi-Fi, the uptime, the battery status, your thermals, free disk. You can come down and see loot and packages and handshakes. Wow, that's a lot of handshakes. What you may not know, and if you've used an Android, this might sound a little familiar. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to press the A button 6 times. That enables developer mode, and I cannot stress enough how this is for development and troubleshooting. Okay, this is not a standard operation kind of thing. Under most circumstances, you don't need to go in here, but let me show you what's in here. So once we dismiss that, we press A to open this, and these are checkboxes to enable very granular logging. The only reason that you would be in here is if you found a bug and wanted to work with us, say on Discord or over an email ticket to troubleshoot some things. This is how we could generate those logs. Don't keep these checked all the time. That's like a great way to, bog down the performance of your device. It's really just for debugging. Can't stress that enough, especially write log to disk. That's going to write that to the eMMC, and you could easily fill up your disk if you left that on all the time. So, it's going to warn you. We're going to say, no, we don't want to do that anyway. But the reason I'm bringing you to this menu is because I can restart the server right from here. So that's just a fun way to do that. I might come in here and show you some other cool tricks you can do at another time with this, but it's a fun little menu. And if I choose restart server and accept that, that's going to go ahead and actually just, like I said, restart the server that is running the user interface and all those things, and I can immediately see that it's initializing the interface. Now I will need to, when this comes right back up, just refresh my virtual pager page, re-log in, and then I should be good to go and actually see those changes that I made in that debug JSON. All right, so I see here I've restarted the server. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that message, refresh my virtual pager and log in. And now when I navigate to Recon and head over to the scan results, you'll notice that they're censored. And it's not even just those results, but I can go into, say, this network with 10 different devices, connected clients, and would you look at that? Even the connected clients are censored. So if you're doing videos, if you're doing demonstrations, this is a great way to obfuscate. And that right there is a bunch of tips that you can put to use on your Wi-Fi Pineapple pager. Cheers.